Have you ever looked around you and felt like you didn't fit the mold? Like there's a certain way to do life, to serve, to minister, but it doesn't quite feel your way? If you've ever felt that pressure, you're not alone. It's easy to think that there's a one-size-fits-all mold for how we should live, but what if I told you that God has a flow through you that is as unique as your personality? Welcome to Dream Watch, where we explore how God speaks through dreams, prophetic insights, and how his unique flow moves in each of our lives. I'm Chandra Moyer, an ordained minister, mom, and Mimi. I'm here to empower you to embrace the healing and clarity God has for you through your dreams and his divine direction. Before we dive in, if this message resonates with you, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. This way, you won't miss out on future videos that can help you embrace your calling and purpose. God's flow through you is as unique as your personality. Just like your fingerprints, your experiences, and your heart for others, his calling on your life is personalized. Whether you're called to encourage, heal, teach, or something completely different, he's designed you to function in a way no one else can. When we embrace this truth, we can stop comparing ourselves to others and begin walking in the fullness of who God has called us to be. Isaiah 55:8-9 and Jeremiah 29:11 remind us that God's plans are far beyond our own understanding. You see, when we trust God, even in the hidden moments, in the uncertain steps, we can rest assured that he is working all things together for our good. Something that I've learned is that nothing is wasted when we give it all to God. Every victory, every struggle, and every moment of feeling not enough, they all fit into his divine design. When we surrender it to him, he uses every part of us, both the strengths and the weaknesses, for his glory. The key is in everyday choices where we say yes to God's call, God works in ways that only he can. It took me a while to understand how God moves through me. I remember looking back how he was strategically guiding me, placing me in situations, sometimes in ways I didn't fully understand at the time. A prophetic word spoken of me during my ordination helped me realize what God had been doing all along. God uses you strategically. He's honed your heart to be a strategic weapon. A few years later, another prophetic word came. This is a special ops assignment for you. And as I began to reflect, I saw it clearly. Every step, every door that opened was part of God's strategic plan. He sent me to churches, to state officials advocating for foster kids, and even to Washington, D.C., to deliver a prophetic word to a prominent woman appointed by the U.S. President. These assignments, though often hidden, were all part of God's strategic plan for my life. While many others serve with consistency and public view, while their ministry or calling is visible and ongoing, my walk has been different. And I want to share this aspect with you because I think some of you might be experiencing this in your life too. And it just helps to know there are other people walking the same journey. I think it's hard when you have a unique calling and maybe you're not surrounded in that tribe. So you feel very much alone and trying to understand how God is working in you and how he's flowing in you. So by sharing this, I hope this will help you. God would send me in and out of assignments. These weren't positions I held for years or places where I stood in the spotlight. Instead, my journey has been in the shadows, responding to God's call to step in, speak out, and leave just as quietly as I came. It's not about recognition or visibility. It's about obedience. But God moves strategically through each of us in ways that are sometimes private and hidden, but just as purposeful. Why am I sharing this? Because I know there are others like me. Those of you who feel misunderstood because your walk looks different. Maybe you're in the shadows right now, not seeing the big picture, the big moments in public ministry or leadership. But God has a special calling for you too. Your journey may not be in the spotlight, but that doesn't mean it's any less significant. It's just as important. For those of you who may feel like your mission field isn't where others see it, I want to encourage you. God is working in those hidden moments. He is moving through your obedience in ways only he can reveal in his perfect time. My training through this journey has not been conventional. It's been anything but that. Maybe it's tied to my life growing up in the military, constantly moving from place to place, never living anywhere longer than 4 years, always starting over, adapting, learning new things, meeting new people. That experience taught me to be flexible, to trust God in the unknown, and to learn how to follow His lead when I didn't know what was ahead. God showed me many years ago that my mission field was wherever He sent me, in the military, in my community, and beyond. So often my mission field was where I lived, worked, and played. As a busy mom raising 3 kids, I always had big adjustments every time we moved. My prophetic training was gradual. It wasn't about big, flashy moments right away. It started with small acts of obedience, like inviting a neighbor over for tea and prayer, or hosting a Bible study with a few women. As I said yes each time, God was faithful to show up, and that built my trust muscle. For some of you, maybe your training has looked similar, unconventional, unpredictable, and sometimes uncomfortable. But that's how God shapes us for His purposes. You see, every step, no matter how small, prepares us for the bigger assignments He has in store. And that's how God will flow through you and use your life, your distinct experiences, as part of His bigger plan. There was one moment that I felt this unique flow very strongly. God led me to a church that I'd never been to before. I didn't know anyone there, and I had no idea what they were going through. But God would not let me ignore the prompting I felt. He led me there, and He gave me a prophetic word for the pastor, a word I didn't even know that would have such a profound impact. When I shared that word at the church, I didn't know what it would mean to them, but it turned out to be a pivotal moment for their journey. The word shifted their course and brought healing in a way I didn't expect. I had to trust God's flow through me, even when it felt uncomfortable and uncertain. I'll share more about that powerful assignment in a follow-up video, as I believe the story will resonate with some of you who are in seasons where God is asking you to step out in faith and trust His flow, even when it feels uncomfortable. Stay tuned for that story of how God moved in ways I didn't expect. But in the end, it all made sense. Just like God calls us into unique assignments, He's also calling us to stand up in this hour, to speak out in the world today. Some of you may feel His prompting to speak out about the injustices we're seeing unfolding in real time, where you're seeing policies like mass deportations, children being torn away from their parents, or the growing concern over human rights violations. It may feel uncomfortable, even risky, but that's where God's distinct flow might be moving you. Just like He placed me in unexpected situations, He's placing you in the midst of turbulent times to speak His truth, bring light into darkness, stand for justice. Here's the thing. When we embrace our own unique flow, we stop trying to fit into someone else's mold. It's easy to look at others and think that their way is the only way. And I just want to pause here for a minute and let's just talk about that. God created you uniquely to glorify Him. And so your personality, your essence, is a reflection of Him and His glory. So stop to think for a minute. If we are comparing ourselves to others, we're saying, God, how you made me is not good enough. And I think that breaks His heart. I really do. I really feel like the way He uniquely created you and me brings Him joy. So it breaks His heart when we discard that and look over to someone else and say, I think you made them better. So I know for myself, I had to repent on some things as if God made a mistake when He made me a certain way, because not everyone is going to embrace how He uniquely created us. And so that's when healing comes in, and we begin to really look at Him and look to Him and ask Him to heal those broken parts in those places in us that tell us that we're not enough, or that shame that causes us to hide. So it's just important that we begin to embrace and love ourselves as God loves us. So when we truly embrace our individuality, we step into the calling God has for us. We stop comparing ourselves and we start trusting it's exactly where we're meant to be. God's flow in your life is just as personalized as your fingerprint. And when we walk in that truth, it changes everything. Now I want to give you some practical tools to help you step into God's unique flow for your life. One of the things you can do that I have found very helpful is to journal. Write down where you feel God is leading you, the promptings He gives you, the nudges He gives you, and take note of the small steps He's asking you to take. This will help you track His guidance. Then pray for courage. If He's asking you to step out on something, It's scary because you've never walked in that direction before. That's okay. Just acknowledge it and say, Lord, this is kind of scary. This is unknown to me, and I'm very hesitant with this, but yet I know you're asking me to do this. Then ask him to give you the courage to move forward. I have found that when I ask God to give me courage, he gives it to me when he's called me in a certain direction. So God will give you the courage to take the next step, no matter how small, and trust he will guide you. I just want to challenge you to choose one small step today, whether it's reaching out to someone or starting a new project. God's been telling you to do something, and he's been nudging you to take a deep breath and exhale and just do it. The confidence comes as you take that first step. I think we have this misconception thinking that once I feel confident, I'm going to move forward. It just doesn't work that way. Faith comes when you take that small step. And then once you take that one step, he will light up his next path. As much as I love a plan A to Z, God just doesn't work that way, because I think if we can get the whole plan, then we don't need God. And when he gives us one step, then we have to rely and lean on him for the next. So it builds dependency, a trust in him as we walk this journey out. So what I have found is that action brings clarity and trust in God's plan. So I want to encourage you to take that step in the direction he's leading you. You may not always see the fruit of your obedience, and that's the reality in walking with him, but you can trust God, and knowing his ways are higher than ours. He sees the bigger picture and knows exactly what he's doing. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to take a moment and reflect. Where is God leading you right now? And what is he calling you to do? Even if it feels outside your comfort zone. Let's continue this conversation. Share your thoughts or questions in the comments. Until next time, remember that your story is part of God's bigger plan, and he is guiding you every step of the way.